Hey everybody, what's going on? Let's see how everybody's doing here. I'm gonna start us streaming, and yeah, Veronica, if you'd keep an eye out for Jadah, I'll make you co-host so you have all the power. The power. Great, there she is. Here we go. I can do it. Promote to panelist. Hi, Jadah. I'm so glad you're here. There she is. Hi, baby. All right, I'm gonna link us to Facebook so we can do that, have that fun.
And are you able to allow me to start my video? It's saying unable to start.
Let me Sellner, right?
Yes.
Okay, sorry, I'm just typing onto the thing. Share to my page. That's my page. Go live. Woo woo. Hi everybody. Let's see. Yes, got it. It's being live streamed. Hi everybody. We're being live streamed. Let's see if I can make Jadah let's see if I can just make you a co-host. See if that helps.
Yes.
There she is. There she is. Hey, everybody. Oh, I'm so glad you're here. Boom, boom, boom. Hi.
Yes.
Let's start with our breathing and then dive in. I'm super excited to have all of you here on the Zooms and all of you here on the Facebooks and all of you here on the other Facebooks. And I'm especially delighted to welcome Jadah Sellner to our little time here together. This is going to be a little different than what we've been doing lately, but it's totally in line with our vision and purpose of creating a life that is productive, not in that it is busy, but that it is meaningful and juicy, right? Productivity is not about getting more done. It's about getting more of what matters done. So, I had somebody ask me recently, what my glasses say, because when I tip down, you can see it. They see port and starboard. They're from a company called Caddis, and they do this. It's a little twee. I think it's a little precious, but it's how they come. So in case I'm ever on a boat, I will know which side is port and which is starboard by looking at the top side of my glasses. All right. Let's breathe. We're going to inhale for a count of 4, hold for a count of 7, exhale for a count of 8. We'll do that 3 times. I'll count us through it. If you want to ignore it, you can ignore it, but most people find it to be a very pleasant experience. So yeah, just drop yourself into this moment. Drop yourself into this moment, because this moment is where all the power is. This moment is where the change can happen. This moment is where you can start to get what you want, what you really want. Ready? Let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Do a little sigh like that. Oh, it feels so good. It's like a massage from the inside.
Love that.
Yeah. So everybody, this is my friend Jadah. Jadah is let's see, let's put on speaker view. Jadah is one of those people. Jadah is best friends with one of my best friends. And for years, Amy has been like, oh my God, I can't believe you don't know Jadah. Oh my God, you and Jadah need to know each other. Oh my God, how do you not know Jadah? Oh my God, this is amazing. You must know Jadah. And then she turned up in the Beautiful Writers Group, which some of you are also a member of, with Linda Sievertson. And if you are a writer and you are not in Beautiful Writers Group, you are depriving yourself of an incredible community and a lot of really valuable insider information. And there's Amy. She's on. Hi, Amy. See, this is the bridge. This is the person that put together. So then I found out that Jadah was creating this incredible book, and she's launching a book. Date is like this week, the 15th, I think. And I said, well, we got to have you talk to the people. Like, so yes. Lori says, good morning from my car. Hi, Lori. Great to see you. so yeah, Jadah, just tell the nice people a little bit about how you got from where you were to where you are.
Oh, wow. Yes, of course. So first, I want to acknowledge, Samantha, that you do breathing exercises as part of this connecting and gathering. I think it's so beautiful for us to create that space to pause, to reconnect, to center ourselves, to be full of ourselves, and just creating that spaciousness, calming our nervous systems, because productivity is this hyper focused push. There's a lot of frenetic energy that can happen in there. So I love that you integrate this spaciousness to just breathe, connect to breath, get in your body. And so I just want to acknowledge that that's such a beautiful gift that you create for everyone each week.
Thank you. I had to say, I do it entirely for myself. Like, it just makes the difference between, before when I would teach and you know how it is, you're starting, you're like, okay, where's the thing? Is my mic?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, hi, everybody. We're starting. And it's like, no, just be here now, Samantha. Be here. So it like gives a nice frame to what we're doing. So, but thank you. I love doing it. So.
I think ritual and just grounding in some ways is so helpful. So I think it's very beautiful. So a little bit about me.
There's Annabelle.
Love it. The fur babies.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, I've been an entrepreneur for over 14 years, and I consider myself an artist first and a business owner second. So I think that Amy, you, Sam, myself, we have that shared background of a performance background, so I did spoken word poetry. I was a theater major in high school. I never finished my college degree, but I did it for over 10 years and have like 60 plus college units. So I'm a lifelong learner. I'm also a mama of a 15-year-old. I've been married for 17 years. So that's a little bit of my personal background. And then from a professional perspective, I started my first brick and mortar business in 2008, which is, moving from LA to Kauai during the economy crashing. And hello, just a little repeat, a little replication of that. So what I want to say is that during these seasons of economic crisis, uncertainty, instability, are the greatest times for reinvention, for testing, for experimentation, and trying things on and not getting things right away. I think that's the biggest thing that can hold us back and in resistance. I have my inner mean girl that I learned from Amy Ehlers is, I don't want to get it wrong. I think I'm doing it wrong. That's my inner mean girl. It's like, you're not doing it right. And so that brick and mortar business that I started in Kauai, my kid at that time was just 18 months old. My husband and I were fighting over money that we didn't have. The opening in my book talks about my husband in his boxers on the car hood. That's the kind of like fights and engagement that were happening during that time. But we ran that business. We learned a lot. But we also ended up closing that company. We lived inside the business for a little bit. And then we moved in with my in-laws, and I knew I wanted to still be an entrepreneur, to have that creativity, that flexibility, to be there for my kid. And so I was committed to figuring out this online business thing, started a parenting blog. Never made any money from that. And then it was Simple Green Smoothies, which is actually my first traditionally published book that came out in 2015, where we grew this following to over 400,000 followers on Instagram, 355,000 email subscribers. And it was an accidental business. That wasn't the plan. I wanted a parenting blog, and all of a sudden I have this health and wellness site. And I share that just to share the journey of creative work and our body of work, of the different things that we try on to find ourselves, our voice, our meaning, and also how can we contribute and be of service. And I sold and exited my company in 2016. And I've been coaching and mentoring specifically women. A few good men are in there, but I have a huge heart for people who have been socialized as female, just the different responsibilities that we are given, and being able to build sustainable businesses without burning out in the process. And so I really poured my heart into these pages to really describe the underbelly of building something meaningful and the ups and downs that come with that. So Trying to give you, you know, my life story in an out breath.
It is in 2 minutes or less. Yes, exactly. It's like compressed. But there's so much in there, and there's so much that you've shared that I really want to underline for everyone. First of all, you're right. It's never about getting it perfect. You know, none of it is. You can't be a perfect parent. You can't be a perfect partner. You can't be a perfect friend. You can't be a perfect writer. You can't be a perfect entrepreneur. Like drop it. Whatever programming you have in there, you have the freedom, you have the ability to free yourself from that idea. And if it helps at all, the thing that switched it for me was when I stopped thinking of perfect as like, I think what we really mean when we say perfect is about like not able to be criticized. Please don't criticize me. If I do it perfect, no one will criticize me. Because like, you know, like you, like a lot of us, I'm very sensitive to criticism. I do not respond well to criticism. Like, you got to sandwich it for me. You got to tell me like the good thing,
give
and then
me
like
the
sandwich. And which is hard as an actor. You got to take notes all the time. Like, you got to learn it. But I started thinking of perfect like an egg, perfect like a leaf, perfect like a baby. You know, like we just go, oh, right. Perfect. And that it is whole and complete unto itself.
Yeah.
Perfect. And that it is what it is, you know? So if any of you are, if that thought gives you any freedom at all, please take it and run with it. The other thing is 100% true. I started my business in 2009, same, like right in the middle of the crisis. Everybody's like, what, are you crazy? And I was like, possibly.
Yes.
But what happened was, because I was really encouraging people to pursue their creative interests and pursue their creative paths, people were much more open and willing, because they were like, okay, this safe thing didn't work out so hot. So I might as well do what I want to do. I might as well do what I love to do. And at times like this, where like all the walls come crumbling down, like no one knows what's real anymore. No one knows what's going to work. No one knows what's happening. No one can predict what's going on. It looks like, you know, messiness and disaster everywhere we look, which, by the way, it has for all total time.
Yeah.
Like, you go back and read the ancient Greeks, and they're like, this culture is being destroyed. Everything good is gone. The kids today, they're so disrespectful. You know, like, all these things that we think of at the end of the world are things as just part of the human condition, you know?
Yeah. And I think something that comes with that is some of our soothing or numbing strategies have been taken from us in some form. And so we have less distraction in a way. We still have tons of distraction, but it's just redirected, which then puts certain things that we didn't have to look at before on kind of like, not the cutting block, but just to look at, right? To have a little magnifier to look a little bit closer, because maybe you're not traveling as much as you used to. You're not as overcommitted. You're overcommitted in other ways, but they're different. And so it gives you this different mental spaciousness to reconnect with, wait, who am I? And also, we have grown through a pandemic and shifted and changed and evolved. Politics, all the things that are moving around us, our professions. And so it just has a re-examination to really look a little bit closer of reconnecting to, who am I today? I am a different person than I was 2 years, 3 years, 5 years ago. And I think something else that happens even within like this culture of hustle is less than comparing ourselves to others, we actually start to compare ourselves to our past selves. And that is so toxic to our own being, of trying to race with an older version of ourselves. It's like when I was on this mission to get back into my honeymoon jeans, you know, like just holding on to those skinny ass jeans and trying to like hope I can fit into them, and just like holding on to this past version of myself, trying to squeeze and cram. But we are expansive, we are expanding, we are evolving. And so we need to allow ourselves to step into this new version. Like, we have shed the skin, not try to like pick up the old skin and like patch it back on ourselves. Because comparing ourselves to our past selves is actually really harmful to us. And like trying to like, how can I make the same amount that I made 2 years ago? How can I be in? It's like, we've got to be present and get present with ourselves right now, who we are. And I think that re-examining is really, really important, to ask ourselves those questions of like, what really matters to me today, not the 3 years ago today, because I'm different. The world is different. My body of work is different. How I want to create, my capacity has shifted and changed.
So good and so important, because also what I'm hearing is when we do that, when we compare ourselves to our past selves, we're depriving ourselves of the lessons. We're depriving ourselves of our own story. And that's the meat. That's the meaning,
And I
That's
don't
so
want
great.
to shame people, right, for like doing that, because I do
Yeah.
it. But what I it's we want to lean into the comfort, right, of that.
Mm.
Like that's familiar. That version of myself is familiar. Who I'm becoming, I don't quite know her yet. I'm still getting to know
Mm.
this person. And that's, I mean, it's like we're dating ourselves, right? Of like, what do you really like? What pleasures you? What are your desires? It's this newness, and it's a little bit uncomfortable and also vulnerable. So I want to just name that we're clinging to that past because it's familiar, and that's very typical for us to do.
Oh, I love that. And I'm loving this vision in my mind I'm getting of like, yeah, if I were just dating me, if I were just starting to like get really interested in me and be like, so Sam, what do you want to eat today? Like, what can we make you for lunch that's going to be amazing for you? I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like what a shift from the sort of, punishing, so many people punish themselves around food. I'm not allowed to want this. I shouldn't eat this. Oh, I've been bad. I ate this. I never understood that. I've been bad. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
being so bad. I had a cookie. It's like, why is having a cookie bad? Wait,
Yeah.
what did I miss?
Yeah.
Having a cookie is good.
Yeah, my kid just made macaroons for the first time yesterday, and they were delightful.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, and like, yeah, all the games then just asking that question in a really delightful, I sometimes find that the secret to personal development is asking. It's not that you're asking the different questions, you just ask them in a different tone of voice.
Mm,
So the difference between like, well, what do you want? And so what do you want? What do you want now? And the
yeah.
difference between like, well, who do I think I am? Okay.
Mm.
Who do you think you are?
Yeah.
I think I'm a person who would like to try this. I'm a person
Yeah.
who might like to make some money. I think that sounds fun.
Yes. And it's that lens of compassion, right? And curiosity and deep connection. So, and that's something that I'm learning in my own self, right? Because there's a lot of revisiting, trauma and triggers and things that have been activated being in this season of uncertainty, that we're wanting people to hold safe space for us to have this emotional safety. But it's like, how can we be safe, like for ourselves? So like, what is it that you're needing or wanting from others, and how can we turn that back to make sure that in partnership with ourselves, the different parts of ourselves are being able to hold that safe space and emotional and psychological safety and curiosity of like, what's happening, Sam? Like, tell me more, versus like, what is happening? Why aren't we where we should be? So I
Totally.
love that tone
Yeah,
invitation.
yeah. And I was just having a conversation last weekend with a friend of mine who works for the government. So there's a lot of we were talking about trigger warnings and how, and she was like, I think so often that what's happening is it's the idea of being triggered and making other people responsible for our emotional well-being. And it's like, are you triggered, or do you just feel uncomfortable? Are you being asked to look at something you don't want to look at? Are you being reminded of something you don't want to be reminded of? Are you being pushed to grow or understand something that's hard to understand or hard to grow into? And I was like, yes, if you take that responsibility back for yourself, then you're sort of safe wherever you go.
Yeah.
Right. If you
Yeah.
make other people responsible for your emotional safety, then nowhere is safe to go.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah.
Veronica says, think about that. Shirley says, this is so helpful today. Veronica says, cooking all the weird food I like, picking sheets out just for me, decorating with all the colors, living alone for the first time in my life has been such a joy. I like me. I like you
Mm.
too, Veronica. Veronica
Some
is our right hand, all things to all people, hero of my business.
I love that. It's so important to have that support.
Yeah. So say a little more about, so Jada's book is called She Builds. And the links are in the chat and the Facebook. You can just go find it. If you use my link, it's an Amazon link, and I will receive pennies, I tell you, for every
We
purchase
would
made
like
by
to
them.
give you pennies. Let's do it.
So buy the book. I always say buy 3 copies. Buy one for you, one for a friend, and then one to keep, so you can be somebody's book angel. You know, that moment where they're like having a problem, you're like, hold on, I have the perfect book for you. Here you go.
Yes.
So buy 3, and then definitely leave her a review. Purchases and reviews are critical to all authors. If there's an author you like of any stripe, please go write them or give them some stars. Better yet, write them a review. It can just be 3 words.
Yeah, I love it.
Interesting. Yeah, I liked it. Like, that's fine. You don't have to be, deep about it. Just, you don't have to write a college essay. Just let your voice be known to the people whose work you love. So tell us more about the book and this concept of anti-hustle.
Yeah. So there's this, the way that I frame this book is that we are moving away from fear, which is like we're on this cycle of fear, and it's an acronym, FEAR, where we are moving in this space of like forcing, just this like pushing, like go, go, go. And then that leads us to the next stage of exhaustion, where then we're overwhelmed, we're tired, we're depleted, we're drained. And when we're in that place, then we move into this stage of avoidance and hiding out under the cover, on your couch. Daytime bedtime is what I call it, or daytime couch time, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's actually part of hustle culture, to shame you for thinking that it's not okay for you to watch shows. I binge on shows all the time, and like Amy and I have been co-watching, just sharing, watching Love is Blind. Trashy shows does not make you unproductive, does not mean that you can't write traditionally published books or anything like that. You can still watch shows, you can still have ice cream and cookies and cake and all the thing, and still be an amazing, thoughtful, caring human being. So we get into that place though, right, of avoidance, of hiding out, of stepping away in that season. And then we are in rigidity, where we create a plan and then we stay stuck. Like, well, this was my plan. This is what I said I was going to do. So there's no flexibility, no fluidity. So it's this cycle that just keeps repeating. And then we go back to the forcing and the pushing and the exhaustion and the avoidance and rigidity. And we're just like in this like washing machine of overwhelm, exhaustion that leads to burnout. And so the way that I frame She Builds is through this framework of build with love. And so L is for lead. And that's about leading from the inside out, making decisions from yourself first before tending to your family, to your friends, to your community, your team, those like really making decisions and getting clear on your vision, your intentions, your whys from that place. So leading from the inside out. And then we can move into this place of optimize. So that's the O. And optimize isn't about like scaling and 10xing and 5 million xing things, but it's about optimizing not just like how you use your time, but really looking at your energy and the support systems that you have in place, and being able to create, Sam, I feel like you are just so great at systems and efficiencies, and like how to protect your time and have these repeatable systems in place, right? These things that just help us not be in this place where we're feeling just so frenetic. And then we can move into visualize, which is actually creating a more intentional plan, being able to build off the vision and the desires that you have in a more strategic way that also makes room for fluidity, for adjustments, for being able to I have a chapter called Review, Reflect, and Realign. And that's that, like, nothing has to be perfect. We're just making these micro improvements around the way. And then the last part is E, which is expand. And that's about really deepening into our work and redefining scale on our own terms. That growth, expansion, going to the next level is really defined by you, and also that we need to sustain ourselves. So being able to double down on self-care, which doesn't mean bubble baths and massages and facials and pedicures. It's also just, how do we take care of our nervous systems? How do we take care of our bodies? How do we just stay connected with other humans? Because that is part of our health and well-being too. So really moving from fear, forcing exhaustion, avoidance, rigidity into love, which is lead, optimize, visualize, expand. And that's the pathway of getting us out of this hamster wheel of hustle culture.
Oh, I love so much about this. Deborah Horowitz says Love is Blind is the best. Amy also suckered me into Love is Blind and ruined my life. And now I've watched all of them.
Yep.
We talk about
Brazil.
Brazil. Oh, we have a lot to talk about. June says naps are joyful. Naps are an incredible productivity strategy. I am a huge fan of naps. It's one of the things actually that I think my performance background got me is the ability to sleep almost anywhere, almost anytime, for almost any amount of time.
I didn't think about that, but I'm the same. And for those who struggle to nap in the middle of the day, you can also just have a mental rest. So sometimes I will just put my legs on the couch and lay on the floor and listen to some meditation music or yoga music, or I'll put my legs on like the door or a wall, just allowing just allowing your parasympathetic system to just like relax and release, and set a timer for anything, whether it's a nap or even eating. If you have a hard time and you love to multitask and it's hard to wind down the mental speed, setting a timer is very helpful for me, where it's like, okay, I'm going to eat lunch. I'm not going to touch my phone for 30 minutes. Like, just leave it alone. Plug it in another space or room. So sometimes, whether if that's hard for you, just the intention of resting and not looking at your phone or screens for 10-15 minutes is also nourishing too.
Totally. I also use my phone, the timer on my phone, as like a stage manager. So I'll set it for, like, say, an hour before this call, and I have it then go, snooze for 9 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And really, so it's like the stage manager coming in and being like, 10 minutes. Thank you, 10.
Thank you, 10.
And it just keeps, because, it's easy to get sidetracked. It's easy to have time slip away. I was just doing that. I was looking at the bathtub. It's like the bathtub, and there's all these little black hairs in my tub. I'm like, did Luke shave in here? Like, what is this? And then finally I realized it's the cats.
Oh my
goodness.
They
come and run around, like, to come and play in the bathtub. So there's this cat hair in my bath. Not a lot of cat hair, but enough that I was like, is that? And I thought, oh, I should clean the tub. And then I heard my timer and I'm like, no, I should continue prepping for my call. The bathtub can wait.
Yes.
And right. It's okay. It'll still be dirty later. It's fine.
Yes.
Yeah, I love it. Veronica says, I have a smart speaker chime at me to remind me to stop and eat. That is absolutely essential strategy for the hyper-focused. Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Deborah also says, book endorsement from Tara Moore. Impressed. Hair toss. Yeah, well,
It was really beautiful when I was getting blurbs for the book and making requests of how intentional people, obviously some people are like, I'm busy, but like Tara really sat to like read the book and like wants to leave honest endorsements and things. And I just think it's so beautiful for people who have busy and full lives and kids and all the things to really take the time to get into the pages and read. So it is a very honest endorsement for She Builds.
Lovely. It's a wonderful, and this will start happening for you too, that like they'll start to ask you to endorse other people's books. And I don't say yes to every request, but when I do, I take it, I try to say yes to as many as I can, because it does feel like paying it forward. It does feel like, people supported me when I had nothing to offer them. And it feels good to be able to support others, Sue says, thanks so much for this time and space. And Shirley had said earlier that you really needed to hear this today. So this is very good timing. Do you guys have any questions for Jadah? Do you have anything you're wondering about? Or, I know we usually only go for a half hour, but I think we could maybe stay a little bit.
Yeah.
Time. Sure. So if you guys have any questions about being an author, about being an entrepreneur, about getting out of this fear structure into a love structure, I'm really, so glad to hear you talking about everything starts with you first.
Yeah.
What feeds you, what nourishes you, what lights you up, what boundaries do you need to have, what time do you need to have? Because we get so culturated out of that. Like that's supposed to be like as though that's supposed to be the last thing on the list.
Yeah.
When in fact, if it's the first thing on the list, then the you that shows up for everybody else is such a better you. Like
Yeah.
we think like, oh, it's selfish for me to take that time. No, 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 no. It's generous of you to take that time.
Yeah.
Because like I say, when you show up rested, loved, fed, nourished, creatively expressed, patted, orgasmed, all the things,
Mhm.
then, there's a light in your eyes. You have a better sense of humor. You're not so reactive, like
Yes.
really so much better for everyone.
Yes. 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 Mm.
Deborah says, looking forward to reading the book. I've made gigantic changes in my life over the past 5 years, building an online business, clearing my calendar and my heart, giving myself heaps of luxurious thinking and resting time. It's magical. And I'm still a recovering workaholic who welcomes this kind of resource. Thank you.
Yes, I love the luxurious thinking and resting time. I think that's a lot of a piece that people don't think about when they're coming up with a plan to create, to produce, to publish, is that you actually need to carve in that time to just think, to simmer. And so often we can think, oh, I'm resisting, I'm procrastinating, I'm avoiding. Many times it's just there's something that's simmering, or there's an emotional block that's holding you back. Because most of the times we know the next steps. We have, we know the roadmap and what to do next. It's usually an emotional piece that needs to be tended to. But I think it's so beautiful that Deborah mentioned the thinking time, that we need time to think and to dream before we plan, before we execute. And I talk about this in Take Visionary Action, a chapter in the book where we're kind of in this phase of like planning, producing, really thinking of how do we actually prepare and plan, and then we can start to produce, and then we can promote and publish, and like kind of separating creation, execution energy, that there's some steps before you actually do it.
It's like a garden, right? I mean, you got to prepare the soil before you can't just
Yeah.
start putting seeds in willy-nilly. You got to prepare the
Yeah.
garden. And then there's some fallow time. There's often some time where it looks like nothing's happening, but actually
Yes.
things are happening. And then,
Yes.
gosh, I heard this, oh my God, like 100 years ago on a quilting show on PBS. Why I was watching a quilting show on PBS, I don't know, because I don't quilt. But it was very restful. It was one of those very restful shows. And one of the women said, they were admiring her quilt and, saying, oh, I could never do that. And she said, no, you can. She says, the problem is we look at ourselves and all we see are our little seeds. We look at everybody else and we see their beautiful gardens.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, right. We look at everybody else and all we're seeing is the finished product. All we're seeing is that bloom. We're not seeing all that time of preparation and all that time of rest. And I just got back from a conference in Austin, and it took me a minute when I started going to conferences to learn to arrive a day early and stay at least an extra day after, to like give myself time to land and get the airplane off me and, settle in a little,
Yes.
and really enjoy that time in sort of a semi-anonymous space, like being in a hotel room, or even, or somebody else's house or wherever you're staying, can be very restful because I'm not surrounded by all the things that are reminding me of all the crap I haven't done yet, So like
Yeah.
to use that creative space and then be at the conference and then have another day, at least one more day to
Integrate,
integrate.
digest, like the spaciousness. And we can even do that within our daily lives. For example, I'm an introvert, a social introvert, but I do need a lot of downtime of not speaking, connecting to people to kind of rebuild my resources. And I used to do, calls, coaching calls, and like 15 minutes between. And then I was like, I need like 30 minutes. And then even 30 minutes wasn't enough for my nervous system. It's like, I need space to land, to de-escalate from like the strategy and the booming from that client and that energy. So I actually have an hour between my calls, and for me, that's what works for me. And so we have to pay attention to where are we feeling crunchy and tight and stacked, and where can we create a little bit more spaciousness for like that soft and slow transition, if that's something your nervous system needs. Some people, like, they want it all together, so I can just be done and then I'm done and then I can move on to the next thing and rest. But I need a little bit more space to digest, a little bit more space to integrate, and then prep for the next interaction. And so that works really well for me. And then there's going to be seasons where our lives are stacked. And I think that's actually for a lot of people right now. I feel like back to school, I'm a mom. And so it's like New Year's for parents during this time of year. And you think that you get time for yourself, but this Q4 is different. There was no rest between back to school and holiday. I don't know what happened. So people are stacked and they are full. And so we have to find how can we get those small sips of nourishment throughout those days when our seasons are full. Also, like bills need to get paid, gas prices have increased. And so what do we do when we are in these seasons of push, when there is more effort and exertion happening? And that's really what I'm trying to like let us know, that hustle, anti-hustle doesn't mean that we won't hustle, that we won't work hard, but it's like, how do we make sure that we take care and tend to ourselves in those busier seasons of our lives? And a good friend of mine said that hustle is a season, it's not a lifestyle.
Right. That's
So we've
exactly
got
right.
to like, that can't be our always mode. There has to be some breathing room somewhere, whether it's in your day or that there's some integration on either side, like your trips, right? To give that soft place to land.
Yeah, for sure. I like to do my schedule where I've got sort of like inward facing days and outward facing days.
Yep, me too.
Right. So, there's, because to have like one call a day, it's like, really, I'm gonna have to put on lipstick and get all of it like for that. Like, let's just do 5 of them in a row and then not have to do any the next day, right? I take Fridays off almost entirely, certainly Friday afternoons anyway. Sometimes I do stuff Friday mornings. And just because I don't like to work Friday afternoons, I just found myself getting like kind of pissy about working Friday afternoons. I'm like, well, last time I checked, I was the CEO. So why am I say I don't work Friday afternoons? Like, yeah, so good. I also, this is just a completely random tip, but when I have a lot going on, I will often put CBD cream along my vagus nerve and rub my feet with CBD cream, and it like,
I love that.
blows me out a little bit. Julie says she loves your acronyms. Amy Eller says you're welcome for introducing me to Love is Blind and ruining my life. Julie also says this has been validating for me because I've apparently gotten good over the years at a lot of this. I did quite a bit of boundary setting just today, and it's all paid me back already. She was, ooh, simmering, great word. Yeah.
And I think that's important to remember, the boundaries. Sometimes we get caught in the swirl of life and we kind of get off. And so there's a constant reset of like, oh, wait. That's how you get out of burnout and hustle culture, is like noticing the signals and the symptoms and not staying there for as long as you have before. And so I love that. It's like, oh, right, I need to enforce a few boundaries that I've kind of gotten a little lax and wiggly with. And that's okay to get a little lax and wiggly, but to like know to like, oh, wait, let me tighten up. I'm spilling over too much. I need to like really protect my energy, my space, my time.
Yeah. I've been having an interesting thing recently in terms of, again, this kind of reframing. Because I just bought a house for the first time, and look, this is it.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. And and making some shifts in the business a little bit. And then I was just at this conference where all these experts all but said, we are 100% going into a recession. And the rules for a recession are tighten your belts, hoard cash, and make strategic buys. Like, it's a great time for bargains. It's a great time to try new things. It's a great time to, make strategic investments. And having moved so deliberately from the deep poverty mindset of my life as an artist, where I was so good at being so broke. I was so good at it. Oh my God. I would play, guess how much this outfit cost? And like, it was always less than $100, including the prawn, like, so good. I could do amazing things with beans and rice. Like,
yes.
I was so good at it and felt so virtuous about it. Right. And then I realized, like, wait, this is not making me happy. This is like keeping my life artificially small. So I did a lot of work on abundance and a lot of work on money and how easy money is to make, that it's actually not that hard. And that I could be just as nice and generous a person with money as I was without. In fact, more generous because I have more to give. so the last couple of weeks going like, oh, right. So this maybe is a time to be more strategic in my spending, to not just buy everything because I, can or think I want to, but go like, well, do I really feel like spending $100 on that right now? Like, is this really in service of the sort of long term, the 6 months from now does my future me want this? And so it's like this new kind of game of being mindful of the money that I'm spending or not spending, without being self-punishing, without being limiting, without being what's the word I'm looking for, sort of, close or grabby about it, not from a
Yeah.
scarcity standpoint, but rather from
Scarcity.
an abundance standpoint. A little bit like stopping eating when you're full, like just going like, no,
Yeah.
that's enough for me right now.
And I think mindfulness is the word, right?
Yeah.
Of just being mindful and present and aware and just tune in and
Yeah.
really connected with, instead of mindless and kind of letting that subconscious take the lead, and you're just like, oh, I'm in some subconscious patterns that might be sabotaging myself just a little bit.
Yeah. I was looking for cute waste baskets. Like, I don't like, I felt like my grandmother had really cute waste baskets, like decoupaged, like with little flowers on
Oh
them.
my gosh, I'm a cute trash basket for sure. I'm like
Right.
looking at my trash baskets and I'm like, they're cute.
And I've been looking everywhere, and like the ones that are inexpensive are plastic or yucky looking, and the ones that are super cute were like $80. I'm like, I don't really feel like spending $80 on a wastebasket today. No, and I finally just the other day I found something. I was like, okay, $22. Yes, that that seems better to me.
Yeah.
But I had to turn it into a little bit of a game for myself, because I was like, I didn't want to be the like, sure, $80, fine, whatever. I'm just gonna get what I want and be done with it. And I also didn't want to be like I'll just settle for the ugly one. It's okay.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there is a middle path here, Samantha, and I think you can find it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's all about Love's Blind and trash baskets. That's our
Yes,
advice. Thanks for joining us today.
That's the headline of this talk.
That's the headline of this talk is, and Joe says, this is so helpful. I spend lots of time thinking, and I'm learning to honor that time rather than putting myself down as lazy. Big shift.
Yes. And I just
Yeah.
want to say, I am a professional lounger. And to me, I'm like, I am on the lazy river. Like, that's what I'm on. That's okay for me to be surrendered and just let like life flow. And then sometimes you get out of the lazy river and you go down a slide to get that extra little push and effort and exhilaration, and then you just get back on your float. And just I don't think, like, I think we need to really redefine lazy, and that it's not a bad, shameful thing to, because really lazy is resting, like just not constantly producing. We don't have to be constantly be doing something and making something and accomplishing, achieving. Sometimes we just need to be, because that's where the ideas simmer. Those are when, like, there's an example that I share in the book of Lin-Manuel Miranda of like Hamilton came up on his first vacation that he took when he was finally not in this performance creating building mode. That was when this great idea came, just reading a book on vacation.
Go figure. Yeah, I heard the guy who created Kinko's give a keynote one time, and he said, he looked at it all, and he's like, you guys are all so busy, I don't know how you get anything done. He said, he says, I need time to like stare out a window.
Oh,
long periods of time staring out a window. And I was like,
I love that.
I love that. I love that. Yeah, so good. Jadah, I'm so grateful that you were able to take this time with us. Thank you so much. I know you're in definitely a period of intensity. And
yes, I'm in the push. I'm in the push.
Big push. This is the labor part. This is the active labor part.
Yes, yes. But in labor, we also bounce on the medicine ball. We listen to the Enya music. Like there's, we sit in the tub. So we can push, but also like I have a hot tub date with a friend. I'm going to see Wakanda with my family. I'm going to go, take a dance class tomorrow, date night on Saturday. Like we can weave in those busy full push seasons to still honor the totality of our lives and playfulness and joy too. And that's really what I want people to remember.
And the fact is you scheduled it like with some intentionality, like what do I want? What do I need? So I can show up, in these public scenarios, really rested and fed and have something fun to look forward to, and Wakanda forever.
Yes, yes. And for those who end up getting the book, please give Sam her pennies through the Amazon link. But I also have some great bonus resources that you can come to if you go to shebuilds.com to like submit. I have a visioning, like for you to write your own future vision, like a training, like that's all free. So I would just love for people to get access to that if they do decide to get their hands on the book. And it's also an Audible. I recorded it myself in San Francisco. So it's just such a joy to create. And thank you, Sam, for just allowing me to be a part of this conversation in your beautiful, creative, productive community.
Thank you. Well, thank you all for being here. Big kiss to everybody. And let's do one more breath to just close out this circle. Oh, there's Beth. She says, thank you, Jadah and Sam. This was fabulous. Beth is on her own book journey, so
Oh,
we'll talk
beautiful,
about that
Beth.
later. Okay, so let's inhale, 2, 3, 4, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Jadah. Thank you, Veronica. Thank you for doing this with me. Bye.
Bye.